dedicated to all my folks, diagnosed with a bad case of that proper upbringing, and never took the time to fall in line or follow or swallow the thoughts of the recognized committees who lurk throughout your city, your hood, your town. No matter which type you're from, the same type of people trying to hold you down. Just because you tailor-made for bigger and better things, you never missed a chance to move ahead of things. And what does it bring? I tell you, for me, it brought jealousy and back wounds from all the stabbing. Cat posing as my fan just to get the grabbing what's mine. I'm living in times where my daughters are found around kids who can't afford thinking caps, but always found drinking raps and eating on beats, claiming laws of the streets. But who made the laws? Everybody playing rebel with no sign of a cause.
I feel the world around me. I found that others bring you down. Let's move it down. You got to make up your mind where you want to be, where you want to go with your life.
Yeah.
With your life.
I'm never singing the blues, but finding the clues to maintain. And I've been blessed to reign supreme over nearly every dream I had, and I made it come true. I'm an imperfect man, and I'm holding the clue to perfection. It doesn't seem to matter what direction I look. I find people setting traps, trying to find the goal without having any map. Even friends of mine jumped online just to become my adversary. They felt they were entitled to the theory I made. They don't come to chill or behave, and they got.
I wanted to capture this somehow, and Mark Kulak, Houstonic.live. Welcome to those who are watching live. 4:20 p.m. I appreciate it. I appreciate whatever support and promotion. It's all good. Thursday, June 11th, 2026. Streaming. Hello, Shimmer. Hello, Tazik. Sardaz. V. Oh, another dancing dinosaur. Aaron's and Katniss. Good to have you guys on Twitch, where I sometimes look at chat, usually, but not always. It's just so difficult to do the multitasking thing, and I'm already doing a lot just in terms of production and organizing the information and thinking of a story and trying to have it be somewhat all connect. I call this one Hunter Biden, Candace Owens, and what they won't say is just getting louder and louder. It's deafening right now. Of course, if you watch my program lately, you probably have an idea of what that might be. And my track record, which you can find on a publicly available spreadsheet on Houstonic.live or HoustonIDS.com, shows that I really don't have much of a history of talking about either former Vice President Joe Biden or any of his family's members. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever put the phrase Hunter Biden into a video until just an hour or two ago when I did a video short on YouTube with the phrase Hunter Biden in it. And if I have done it once, I'm sorry, I can't remember that particular instance right now. So why even bring it up now? Well, a few weeks ago, Candace Owens, and on my show I used names of some people who have a lot of promotion and or visibility, who I understand. Most people in my audience would know who they are, so I don't always review who they are. But Candace Owens on her show, the Candace Owens podcast, whatever the heck it's called, had on Hunter Biden, who is the son of the former United States Vice President, presidential candidate, and Senator Joe Biden. And Hunter Biden has, I think it's, to say the least, he has been in a lot of social media posts over the last few years with pictures of him in rather, I don't want to say, compromising, but not necessarily the most appealing situations. Pictures which have suggested potentially drug use, potentially, being a little bit loose with firearms. I don't know. A picture can say a thousand things. But these pictures have gone around. There was suggestions that he once had a laptop computer. Most people have had a laptop computer. And I guess a bunch of things were on this laptop computer, and it became known as Hunter Biden's laptop, which somehow at some point became confiscated by some law enforcement authorities, and then went around and people saw it and they said terrible things were on it, but nothing ever came out of it. So let your imagination run wild about what those things could be. But I would believe, okay, that if I had access, not that even it was forced upon me, but if I saw horrible things happening that were recorded and I believe that they were real, I wouldn't be okay with just handing it to the next person and say, good luck, let me know how it goes. I would be very fired up to want to do something. If there was something recorded on any of these devices, which suggests that there could be someone that is still in danger, you don't just say, we'll deal with it later. No, it's a crisis. So the response to a lot of these things which were alleged that Hunter Biden was doing doesn't align with what they said they saw. They just don't. So either you saw a photo of something horrible happening, which could still be happening, and you should immediately respond 100% because you could save a life, or you didn't. Which one is it? It's one or the other. So they wanted people worked up and angry for sure. They wanted people imagining the worst, but then the actions never aligned with what they said they saw. So I don't know what Hunter Biden did or didn't do. I don't know. But it just seemed like they were trying to get a lot of people fired up about something, and I don't know. Anyways, Hunter Biden has, because of his opportunities and the jobs that his father has had, has been given a lot of opportunities that a lot of people typically wouldn't get so easily. A little bit of nepotism, and that's the way the world works. Some people are really upset about that. I'm like, look, that is what it is, okay? You succeed, so hopefully you can open up some doors and opportunities for your kids, and hopefully you raise your kids well enough so that they understand that they're getting those extra opportunities because someone else worked hard for them, not just because they're better. Anyways, Hunter Biden, especially in the Republican or MAGA circles, the populist circles of Steve Bannon, a lot of nasty things were said about him. Of course, his father's Joe Biden, lifelong Democrat. And Hunter Biden became like the poster child of all of these terrible things. And maybe he did all those terrible things. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm calling out some inconsistencies, but maybe he did. I never really talked much about it because I just suspected that I had a feeling that there was a lot of bad evidence being put out there. And one thing I know is that when all of these fake news outlets, these fake social media outlets, these fake influencers, when all of these sources that have done such a deplorable job at covering the things that do matter, such as the massive number of deaths in the United States of America from drug overdoses and how those deaths were used, the statistics to suggest a deadly novel virus narrative. When they all gloss over that, I know none of them are working for me. They're either totally incompetent or they're working against me. So when they all in unison say everyone should be thinking about how terrible Hunter Biden is, I'm like, I don't trust him. I just don't go there. They've already lost my trust. So I just haven't looked into it. But now, a few weeks ago, Hunter Biden was on the Candace Owens show. It's an hour and a half or so interview. I haven't even watched it. All I know is that it happened, and I didn't know it happened until after the fact. And I guess Hunter Biden right now, or someone masquerading as Hunter Biden with Hunter Biden's knowledge, is on Twitter. And I guess Hunter Biden is now firing it up. And he's like the new Trump, what I've heard. Not my thoughts, not my assessment. Other people, this is what we're being told. We're being pushed. And a former magazine editor, journalist, major influencer, Tina Brown, even wrote an article 2 years ago, this goes 2 years ago right now, that Hunter Biden should someday be considered to be a presidential candidate in the United States. So with Hunter Biden recently on the Candace Owens show, you put these things together. There was even chatter that maybe Hunter Biden should be a presidential candidate someday with Candace Owens as a VP candidate. It's ridiculous. I don't know what either one of them really did to earn the opportunity. It seems so absurd, but it's been floated out there. I'm not making it up. Someone else put these ideas out there. And I just started to wonder. I'm like, okay, so who paired these people? If Hunter Biden is being promoted or was promoted a couple years ago, and I think he's still kind of supported by Tina Brown, name everybody should know, and the fact that most people never say the name is a red flag. And we know that Candace Owens, as I've showed in many videos, she said she was signed on to the show when she was 18 years old. She was recruited, but she wasn't recruited by alt-right or populist forces. She wasn't recruited by Ben Shapiro. She was recruited by Jesse Jackson family. She was recruited by the DNC. Candace Owens was recruited possibly with connections to Tina Brown and the magazine industry. That's why she worked at Vogue for a year. This is the Candace Owens story that nobody will touch. No one will say it. How many people don't like this Candace Owens? And we have this list out there. If anyone doesn't like Candace Owens, they could use this information, but they don't. They just will ignore it because this is the appropriate way. Sort of like everyone who doesn't like Brett Weinstein. They will talk about his silly ideas, but they'll never mention how absurd it is that his father worked as a patent attorney in the United States Department of Justice for Robert F. Kennedy back in the 60s, and was even part of the thalidomide case. No one will mention that. So we're presented with this cast of characters that we are then encouraged to criticize or support that are fools in the middle. Anyways, Candace Owens, show, Hunter Biden, and now I'm thinking, how did this pairing happen? When I look at other support for Candace Owens, which as an 18-year-old, it would have come from the now late Reverend Jesse Jackson and Jesse Jackson's family. And the DNC, maybe there's something I can learn there because she's clearly being trusted right now with this bringing back and the rebuilding and the reintroduction of Hunter Biden as almost a different type of a person. Of course, Candace Owens is heavily promoted by and beloved by Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson was hired as an editor by that Tina Brown for Talk Magazine back in 1998. So she's in it somehow. So one of the words that we're not allowed to say in the United States media, and you're not allowed to hear about it in alt media, probably the best example I could give you is this fake journalist investigator Whitney Webb. If you open up her books and start doing some searches, you'll realize that the word India, reference to the nation of India, versus the phrase Israel. Israel is referenced approximately 1,000 times more frequently than the word India, which is weird because India has 120 times the population, 10 times the GDP, and something like 40 times as much land. It doesn't compute. And if you look at either the Redacted Show or InfoWars, you'll find the same, almost same ratios, stunning ratios. Just you can't talk about India right now. And it's not that India is the root of bad things, but there's clearly something about the nation of India, which if it's spoken about and understood by more people within the United States, they will then be able to have a better understanding of what's going on right now. And as it turns out, most Americans are totally in the dark, including me. At least I understand I'm in the darkness right now. We're all being kept in the dark right now in the United States. Some light could be brought in if we could actually have a conversation about all the people of the world as opposed to having a media blackout on the nation of India. The only thing we can say about India is every once in a while, H-1B. That's it. And believe it or not, I don't even really have a strong position on the H-1B worker thing. I wish it would be more distributed, but the United States should have an opportunity to recruit high potential people from around the world. Is that really such a terrible thing? It could be abused, yes, and it seems to be all about one country, but that's not even really what I'm arguing about here. That's not the primary issue that I have. Anyways, here we are back at that subject. So with the entire network around Candace Owens having this worldview of you can't say India, none of them will say India. They just don't acknowledge the existence of India, right? They're actually trying to understand the Iran war by ignoring India. It's hilarious. They're trying to understand what's happening with Venezuela right now and the U.S. role there without even talking about the fact that the Venezuelan leadership is now in India, or was all last week. India is the most central thing to understand, and these aren't my words, but it was documented that the United States' relationship with India is the most important relationship of the next century. These are words which were said by many people and many presidents in the previous century. They said it, not me. I'm not making it up. They said it. Yet somehow, no one is allowed to talk about India. We can only hear about Israel, Russia, Iran, China. That's, by the way, Tucker Carlson today just said something hilarious. He said, I guess Israelis are Nazis. Psst, ridiculous. But then he went on to say that the only reason Israelis are Nazis is because the United States support Israel. In other words, United States support of Israel has turned Israel into Nazis. He's one step short of just saying they have to eat babies right now. But, you know, he's already sort of suggested it with his promotion of Roseanne Barr. So here we are, and I'm wondering about Hunter Biden and India. There's got to be something there. Now, Hunter Biden pled guilty. He put in a plea deal, back in 2022 or 2023 regarding some of the charges that were against him and Ukraine or China. And I guess that the plea deal was accepted and the charges were floating around for a few years or something. And that plea deal was made about 24 to 48 hours before India's Prime Minister Modi had a large state dinner in Washington, D.C. Of course, Hunter Biden's father and many other diplomats and press officials were there. But Hunter Biden was able to attend this dinner event because he put in his plea deal in time. This is from a video I deleted like 3 days ago, where I reminded everyone that, you know, there's 198 other countries out there, give or take, and the one nation that I guess the dinner was most awesome enough or important enough to encourage Hunter Biden to put in a plea deal with was the visit of Modi and India. All right. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it was causal. But, you know, one dinner, so what, right? I mean, how much can you really do in one dinner? Not to mention, you know, do you really need to be there? You can't send a freaking email or send a text message? Come on. Either way, it got the flags up. Now, if you were to go to Wikipedia and we type in Hunter Biden, B-I-D-E-N, Hunter Biden, and if we do a Control F and search for India, the word India is not there. Okay, so India is not mentioned, not even as a source. India is not mentioned on Hunter Biden's Wikipedia page. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that either he has no connection with India, or if he did, someone decided not to put it in the Wikipedia page. Again, Wikipedia lies by omission. Wikipedia cannot put in a statement, Hunter Biden never had an association with India. That would be a lie. Hunter Biden never met Modi. That would be a lie. So they can't say that, but they can avoid saying that he put in his plea deal just in time to go to the dinner to be with Modi. You can avoid saying it. And therefore, if someone comes along like me, I don't have much more knowledge, and I just search for India, I don't find anything. But certainly there's nothing so extreme that they couldn't hide it. So I started searching around a little bit more. This is the interview of Candace Owens and Hunter Biden. Looks like it was 2 weeks ago. I said several weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. They're having their great big sit down. Looks like they talk for an hour and 50 minutes. I haven't watched yet. I haven't studied it yet. I don't know if there's any signs there that they've already known each other for a while or not. But I'm curious, thinking about this India thing. So I know that Candace Owens, a big part of her recruitment involves Jesse Jackson. We know that right now. Now, I don't know if it was just coincidence that she put in this race-based hate crime allegation in Stamford, Connecticut, and then she was supported by the Jackson family. In the chat, just getting in, H1B is abused. I think there's abuse going on, but it's a complicated issue. And I think it's an issue that needs to be addressed. I think my point, Fletch, is that the H-1B issue, for many, overshadows all of the other nuances. It's not that it's not important, but there's other. Now, if someone lost a job, and by the way, I had to train a replacement once for one of my jobs, so I was stung by that before. It's not that I've been lucky enough to miss it. I've been personally impacted by it, but I'm not holding on to that grudge as something that I want revenge for. It is what it is, okay, and compared to other challenges in life, it is way down the list of things that I'm interested in discussing and dealing with. But I think many people, when it comes to India, they'll only think about that. But that's, I think, low on the list of abuses and things we need to be dealing with first and foremost. Okay, so Candace Owens, I don't know if she was discovered because it was just the right time, right place, or if she already had a personal or family relationship with Jesse Jackson and maybe someone else, which led to her doing a favor maybe and saying that there was a race crime when she was in high school. I don't know. I gotta open. I'm opening the door to that possibility right now. Either way, in Candace Owens' own words, she was recruited as an 18-year-old, and other people have misstated that means that she was recruited by the alt-right or Ben Shapiro or Turning Point USA, and that's absurd. No. It was a recruitment by Jesse Jackson and the Jesse Jackson family. It was a recruitment by the DNC. It was a recruitment by Mark Weiner, president of the Governors Association. He lived out in Rhode Island. It was a recruitment into the fashion industry. She got to work at Vogue magazine after college. Vogue directly for Anna Wintour. Candace Owens got in those circles. Presumably, she met Tina Brown in her early 20s. Candace Owens was getting in deep quick with the DNC machine around that time, starting around 2007, 2008. So if Candace Owens was being introduced maybe to the DNC because of the Jesse Jackson family, which I think she still has friendship with, then the question would be, did Hunter Biden ever have some friendship with, some connection with, etc., the Jesse Jackson family? And the answer is yes, he did. This is from the Santa Barbara newspaper, September 3rd, 2011. And this is Jesse Jackson Jr., son of Reverend Jesse Jackson. At this time, he is a representative from the state of Illinois. Of course, he's a Democrat. And he is involved somehow in the sentencing of the former governor of the state of Illinois, Blagojevich. Now, Blagojevich, I'm going to summarize it poorly, but there was a Senate seat opening, and remember, every state has 2 Senate seats. A Senate seat opening back in 2008 as the young senator, junior senator Obama, very quickly got an opportunity to run for president and became president of the United States in 2009 was when his first term started. And there was an allegation that this Senate seat was used for, I'm not going to say sold, but that people were trying to get into that Senate seat. And I don't know the full list, but I think one of the people that was on the list to potentially to fill that United States Senate seat, one of the 2 from the state of Illinois, was Jesse Jackson Jr., I think. And somehow Blagojevich got into some trouble for this. He wound up going to jail or getting sentenced, or fined. Again, a very bad summary. I'm sorry. But as he is going in, okay, here's a sentence from this 2011 article. The lawyers acknowledged that Jackson aides sent a package that included talking points about why the congressman was the best for the seat. Materials sent out in response to media inquiries and to supporters including Aretha Franklin, Bill Cosby, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Hunter Biden, the vice president's son. So the Hunter Biden was being pursued here in 2011 by a member, one of the Jesse Jackson children, trying to get this Senate seat. Actually, it would have been in 2007 or 2008 as Obama became president and created a Senate seat vacancy. Okay. It doesn't prove that the Jackson family is close with Hunter Biden, the same Hunter Biden that just a couple of weeks ago is being interviewed on the Candace Owens show. It doesn't really prove, a close friendship, but it's fishy. It's a little fishy. Another part of the story, though, is that it's not just the Senate seat that's up for grabs here. Jesse Jackson Jr. was also inquiring about the possibility of becoming the United States ambassador to India at that time. So Blagojevich was also in trouble for that. That's the part of the story that most people don't hear about. But the ambassador to India role is being seen as as good, if not better, than being ambassador to the United Nations. It is the most important, the biggest money, the most visible ambassador job right now. It's a huge job. And anyway, and the more I dig in on the back room dealings, the wars that go on to become ambassador to India, the more obvious it is how important that seat is. And in many cases, the ambassador to India also has a dual role as ambassador to Nepal as well. Maybe even to Bangladesh. Okay, so this is a 2011 article regarding things in 2008. The bigger find that I had was this article here. And I just made a video short on this one here. This is from the Chicago Times, 1999. August 8th, 1999. This is United States Secretary of Commerce William Daley, usually known as Bill Daley, D-A-L-E-Y. Now, Daley, his father, by the way, was mayor for Chicago for a long time. Richard Daley is even mentioned in the Blues Brothers scene, the Richard Daley Plaza, where they have that Picasso, right?
Well, this is definitely Lower Wacker Drive. If my estimations are correct, we should be very close to the Honorable Richard J. Daley Plaza. That's where they got that Picasso. Yep.
Anyways, Richard Daley was very close with Jesse Jackson. Okay, when it came time for Jesse Jackson to introduce Daley to the convention goers, because Daley is part of helping the Rainbow Push Coalition of Jesse Jackson. So, Daley Jackson, okay, Daley Jackson. Daley, in the 1990s, took a key role in the Clinton administration. He was one of the biggest authors of the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. He also, for 3 years, became the United States Secretary of Commerce. Kind of makes sense if you're going to write something like NAFTA. Daley also became, when Obama became president, he was, for a while, President Obama's chief of staff. Daley is not a nobody. He became the chief of staff of Obama. But, as this 1999 article shows, as they're introducing Daley in this article, okay, I'll start here. Daley, noting, Daley rose out of a limousine where his aides, Maury Goodman, who's a former TV writer and producer for WBBM Channel 2, and Hunter Biden, the 29-year-old son of Senator Joe Biden, were holding 3-day phone calls for him. So, Hunter Biden, okay, this same Hunter Biden, who just a couple weeks ago is on the Candace Owens show. Well, how the hell did they know each other? Well, remember, Candace Owens, 2007, she's being recruited as an 18-year-old by the Jesse Jackson family and Al Sharpton family. Hunter Biden used to work, as this 1999 article shows, used to work as an aide for William Daley, or Bill Daley, who is a friend and a supporter of the Push Coalition, the Rainbow Coalition of Jesse Jackson and Jesse Jackson's family. Again, Jesse Jackson is of Chicago. As a reminder, I really like Jesse Jackson, the late Jesse Jackson. There's a lot of things about him I didn't agree with. There's a lot about his economic views I didn't like. But you know what? Having seen so much video of Jesse Jackson, I believe the guy had a lot of love in his heart. I believe he always meant well. And I know he loved children. There was just something about him that seemed very pure. I think he was very much controlled. And you could see how someone like Jackson is in some ways the best of America, but in many ways is subverted to the point where he's supporting communism in the worst of America. But as on a personal level, I would have loved to have met Jesse Jackson. Okay. And there's a lot of people I feel that way about. And then maybe I'll get better with my command of the only language I can speak over time. But, you know, I try to find people I think really mean well and not always feel as though I have this right to judge by every economic policy they came up with. But I like Jackson. I really did. I still do. But anyways, Jesse Jackson here, and we know that the Jackson family, as this other article showed back in 2011, is putting in plea deals with the Biden family. I think it's safe to say that Jesse Jackson's kids had a friendship with Hunter Biden that probably goes back to the 1990s, maybe even 1980s when they were teenagers. I think Hunter Biden's, now I'm not saying that Hunter Biden's best friend is one of the children of Jesse Jackson. What I am saying, though, is that their dads were combative and allies since the 1980s. And it's absurd to think that they haven't spent some time together and have some type of relationship. Deep, maybe it's not real, but it's complicated. I don't know. It's worth exploring because Jesse Jackson's story is a big part of the Candace Owens story. It may not still be the Candace Owens story, but it's how Candace Owens, at the very least, possibly got introduced to this whole mess in the first place. Okay, so now we are back over here. 1999, Richard Daley. We're talking about Richard Daley, who Hunter Biden is working for. Hunter Biden is working for, as an aide, this Richard Daley. In case you're curious, if you go to the Hunter Biden page, and if you search Daley, well, isn't that odd? His Wikipedia page for Hunter Biden doesn't mention he worked for Bill Daley or William Daley. Why not? See what I mean? Lying by omission. This is how Wikipedia works. Now, even though Wikipedia lies by omission, you shouldn't let it get you down. Don't let it make you mad. Because every time Wikipedia lies by omission, or the person who edited a page, we win. Because now we know what somebody doesn't want us to hear. Lying by omission is the best way to know what's really important. Of course, you need to know it's missing in the first place. You don't open the Hunter Biden page. There's not a box on the side that says, oh, by the way, we're not going to talk about William Daley. We're not going to talk about Bill Daley, who Hunter Biden worked for. You're not going to open up the Hunter Biden page and have the box on the corner say, just to let you know, we're not going to mention India anywhere in this page. So you need to know that these connections exist. And then you need to look at places where, such as Wikipedia, somebody should have freaking mentioned it. I'm not saying that Hunter Biden's life is defined by a tenure as an aide for Bill Daley, William Daley, okay? But it's interesting enough. I mean, hell, if I worked for Bill Daley, I would put it on my LinkedIn profile. I think you would as well. It's even if he was the worst boss you had, even if he ran over your dog or something, you didn't like him, I don't know, you'd still mention it. Why not? The fact that it's not there means it's missing because it should be there. Anyways, so now we are on Bill Daley, and we've mentioned Bill Daley and his role with NAFTA. We mentioned Bill Daley and Commerce Department. But to be clear, if you go to the current Hunter Biden page, it does mention that Hunter Biden served at the United States Department of Commerce, focusing on e-commerce policy for Bill Clinton's administration. And given the fact that the director of the United States Department of Commerce at that time was Bill Daley, well, that means that he worked for Bill Daley. Okay. All right. So why would that matter? Why are we bringing that up as we continue this tour? Why would that matter? Not mentioning Daley, by the way, there's other articles such as this one from OC, the Orange County Register. It's an opinion article on Hunter Biden and the perennial problem of political nepotism. This article says that Richard Daley, the mayor, got mad when he was accused of nepotism because of an opportunity he gave his son Bill Daley. It mentions that Trump was in trouble because he was making some accusation about Hunter Biden. And Hunter Biden, of course, got an opportunity because of his dad. So this article makes all of these talking points, okay, about nepotism, but refuses to mention that Hunter Biden got a role working for Daley himself. So it actually mentions Daley. It mentions Daley and Senator Biden defending, or VP Biden defending Hunter Biden, and it doesn't even mention the fact that Hunter Biden worked for Richard Daley's son. It's hilarious. But this article also lies by omission. Now, maybe the article didn't know because it's not in the Wikipedia page. So that's how, lying by omission can lead to other people reinforcing that lie by omission. Okay, so let us now go to, this is a website called presidency.ucsb. I think that's Santa Barbara. And it is remarks given by then President Bill Clinton on March 24th, 2000. And these were remarks given by then President Trump on March 24th, 2000 in India. This is discussed further here. There's another article that discusses this. This is in an Indian news site called The Week. W-E-E-K, not W-E-A-K. It's going a little bit slow right now. I don't know why. And this is a recent article talking about Clinton's visit 25 years after resetting the United States-India relationship. So, subtitle, Bill Clinton's visit to India in March of 2000 came 2 years after bilateral relations hit their low in May of 1998 after India tested nuclear weapons. I didn't know that. And you can see Bill Clinton here. This is the daughter Chelsea. Remember, Chelsea was jogging around the Twin Towers when they were collapsing. It was a whole article about that in Talk Magazine by Tina Brown. And here's the leaders of India at that time. And I'll read a paragraph or two. President Bill Clinton's visit to India from March 20th to March 25th, that's a long time, 2000, was a remarkable journey that set the stage for the United States-India partnership that has developed so fruitfully over the ensuing 25 years. The trip was particularly noteworthy, coming in less than 2 years after bilateral relations hit their nadir in May of 1998 when India and then Pakistan tested nuclear weapons. Wow. So India and Pakistan both tested nukes right before 9/11. There's a little bit of context for you. And the United States and Western response to the nuclear tests was sanctions, followed by more sanctions. But President Clinton realized that the sanctions approach was unrealistic and unproductive. He told Deputy Secretary of State Strobe Talbot a month after the tests that he wanted India to be front and center for the rest of his presidency. Wow. I didn't know that the last year of Clinton's presidency was about India. Huh. It would be nice if other people talked about that. This would mean that Clinton's, aside from, I guess, Monica Lewinsky, the two things that were front and center to Bill Clinton's last year of presidency, India and the Human Genome Project. Wow, that's kind of funny. There's some pretty big talking points, everybody. So Talbot and his Indian counterpart, Jaswant Singh, began an intense and ultimately productive dialogue that led to the visit. Pakistan played a role too. When the Pakistani military crossed the line of control at Kargil in the winter of 1999, Pakistan's prime minister sought Clinton's intervention. To the prime minister's dismay, Clinton instead pushed Sharif, the prime minister, to pull back his troops to the Pakistan side, demonstrating to often skeptical Indian leaders that the United States' involvement in the subcontinent would be fair-minded and even redound to Delhi's or New Delhi's benefit. Other people that went on the trip listed here. See, they do talk about the full set of leaders that went, including Bill Daley. So William Daley was on a delegation and oversaw the establishment of a dialogue on trade and commerce and a working group on multilateral trade issues. A science and technology forum was created. So let me think about this here. So after Pakistan and India try nukes in 99, Bill Clinton goes to India and he brings along Bill Daley, William Daley. You know, William Daley, son of the longtime mayor of Chicago. William Daley, who's the head of the United States Department of Commerce, who is writing NAFTA and is then given the opportunity to lead multilateral trade talks with India. And this is in 2000. And this is really wild because, remember, as this 1999 article shows us, at this time, Hunter Biden is working for Bill Daley. He's as an aide. So I'm doing deeper searches and I'm trying to figure out, did Hunter Biden go to India in March of 2000 with Clinton and with Bill Daley as part of the kickoff of the rebuilding of the relationship with the United States and India? Now, I can't find anything that says they didn't. And I can't find anything that says they did. However, though, what I can find is from the Wikipedia page a hint that Hunter Biden was with the Commerce Department until at least early 2001, which would be in January 2001, which would be the end of the Biden administration. I think it's very possible that Hunter Biden went to India as part of this delegation in March of 2000 with President Clinton and with Richard Daley. And now we know that Richard Daley is very close with the Jesse Jackson family. Of course, one of Jesse Jackson's very best friends was Mark Weiner, who produces all of the clothing and merchandise for the DNC. And Mark Weiner's daughter, Zoe Weiner, who works at Teen Vogue, Mark Weiner's daughter started a company with, that's right, Candace Owens. What you're looking at here is a DNC operation. DNC, democracy, mob rule, majority rules, and that's it. Majority rules, everything else is whatever, right? Now, I like the fact that we have a representative government in the United States. It's not perfect, but we do have some ability for people to provide insights, to provide nudging, to provide, to vote for leaders that we believe every few years will best represent our laws and our Constitution. But I think having a nation that is a republic and is built first and foremost on protecting the individual rights and liberties of all people equally is more important than I got more votes than you, so shove off. But that's just me. We're being encouraged to be hyper-focused on democracy and voting fairness, as opposed to the fact that we already have a republic, which is written in a way that we all have an obligation to protect each other equally. Anyways, you're seeing the DNC machine here in action. Hunter and I crack the internet. They don't crack the internet. What's happening is no one else has done their job. No one else has ever tried. No one else has either done these searches or they're so buried by the algorithms that we'll never even know that they exist. They have their 20 or 30 people that follow them that have been trying to promote them on some other dark corner of the internet. And the algorithms, which, guess which country most of them are written in, will not allow us to discover those people. So I titled this show, what did I title this show again? I titled this show, Hunter Biden, Candace Owens, and What They Won't Say Is Getting Louder. There's a fight right now. I don't even know how to best characterize it, okay? But what I do know is if we want to have a broad, somewhat accurate, kind of valuable understanding of what the hell is going on right here, we need to factor in the important components. One of them, of course, would be resources. Where are the resources? How many resources are left? There's a lot of mystery around that. But, of course, the planet is not made completely out of oil. So, of course, there's going to be a limit somehow, somewhere. We need to, what are the big agendas? Well, among the agendas that people talk about in the background include things such as, out of our control, climate events, taking control of the evolution of the human species, Human Genome Project, things such as this, population pyramids. These things take a lot of precedence in the background. They don't get any visibility. And just the same, ignoring the existence of the world's most populous country, which has, 4 times as many English speakers as America itself does, in a time where we have all of this, global restructuring. It's impossible to have a fruitful conversation right now by ignoring India. And I'm I remain alarmed at what the situation could be because most people are not factoring India in. Instead, they are factoring in Israel with this belief that Israel is full of baby-eating Nazis because Republicans send them money or something like that. This is the threat to America. But the good news is that this type of subversion and misdirection and narrative control wouldn't be happening unless it was necessary. Meaning, for the moment, a lot of people are still far more in the driver's seat than and have a lot more control than they believe, than they hear. Okay? There's no reason to subvert, destroy, lie, and mislead, and divide, and cause chaos. I mean, don't they have better things to do with their lives? Obviously not, because they are paid to make shows like this. They are paid to have the Tucker Carlson misdirection. If that's what he's doing, someone's paying him to do it. And presumably, no one's going to pay him, Candace, Hunter, and everyone else to do what they're doing unless it's necessary for some reason. That's why they're doing it. And if they're doing if there was already no hope whatsoever for the United States to be sustained, it's a more original vision, which I think the world benefits from. By the way, the United States was not created to become a superpower. It was created as a place to protect the individual liberties of people. The fact that it became powerful is a byproduct of potentially of that. But that's not why the United States exists, first and foremost. Anyways, there's some encouragement here that this type of misdirection and lying and everything else is still happening. But you can't crack it unless you can have a more comprehensive conversation. And it's more than just India. There's how India's internal division. Of course, there is there's still an incredible amount of growth in Indonesia. We never even factored that in. There is the demographic collapses happening in Europe. There is South. There's a million things that I'm not even talking about as well. Okay, but if I were to just list, what country has the most people? Which country has the most tech workers and is able to influence narratives online? The answer is India. And good for them. They have that opportunity. They have that workforce. They have that skill set. They have that. This investment has been made. So it should be part of our conversations, and it's not. And the fact that and I think that the only way that it has been decided that anyone could ever even respond to this realization is to go as long as possible by depriving Americans of having a comprehensive conversation, a comprehensive worldview. They just want Americans mad that of H-1B visas. That's it. If Americans get mad, just have them think about that. Nothing else. Anyways, so the Hunter thing, the Hunter being supported by Candace Owens, the more you think about it, the more sense it makes. We'll get into Robert Malone at some other time. But this was really just kind of what I wanted to cover today. I just wanted to have kind of a knowledge dump, research dump show about this. And I want to turn that off there. One second here. Hey, Reginald. H-1B crap was increased to 200,000 by Clinton in October 2000. Yeah, which is absurd why it went so high. Was it really that necessary, or was it part of a bigger picture knowledge transfer operation? Too many Americans are in the dark right now. There's a lot of people in India. There's a lot of opportunity for incredible human prosperity because of this large population in India. I don't know how it's going to reach its potential and how everyone around the world could benefit from it if we can't talk openly about it. How can Americans be excited and participate in it? And maybe even help if we can't talk about it. If instead of hearing about India at all, Tucker Carlson will talk about baby-eating pedophile Nazi Israelis that only exist because neocons send Israel money or something like that. That's what we're getting in the United States right now. Stupid, absurd narratives. Instead of anything that is remotely prioritized. Let's see here. Long one from Pete. United States Secretary of Energy Bill Richardson laid the early groundwork for United States-India civil nuclear environmental cooperation. The foundation of the historic India-United States Civil Nuclear Agreement was built on engagements initiated during this era. October 1999. Visit. Secretary Richardson went to New Delhi. And something about what's happening right now, these operations of the United States in Iran, tie into this deeply. I don't fully understand it. No, none of us do. But certainly the United States is not investing all its military in Iran right now because they're afraid they have a nuke and they're going to blow up Israel. That much, it's just not possible. India's playing a huge part in this. Oh, not to mention the other thing, as I said earlier. What else did Bill Clinton talk about when he went to India? Of course, he's going to talk about the nuke issue. He goes there with the United States ambassador to India, Celeste. Remember Celeste or Celeste of Ohio? You know who he spars with mostly is Ohio's richest businessman, Wexner. So Les Wexner is also kind of sort of in this as early as the 1990s because Celeste, the governor of Ohio, became the ambassador to India. And there's Bill Daley, and now I have no idea. They brought along Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas. Why? How is she wrapped up in this? I mean, I guess maybe you got to bring someone, an extra face, but that's out there. There's things about this visit that don't add up. But you know what they talk about first thing? Polio vaccines, and AIDS. You know what's odd is it was during the Clinton administration that we had the failed gene therapy experiment of Jesse Gelsinger, where Jesse Gelsinger dies in the late 1999, and then we have a Senate hearing about it, which is first and foremost led by Inder Verma of India. And the vaccine that they used was made with plasmids, I believe, from Vical, which was also founded by an Indian national. And the person that went to the New York Times to discuss and basically provide some cover for the failed gene therapy experiment was Robert Malone, who worked for Inder Verma. It's almost as if they want to make sure that everyone knows that the gene therapy is very safe. And they could even use the technology to make an anthrax vaccine, which could be used on the United States military should there be a large-scale biological terror attack in a major U.S. metropolitan center. So they're talking, what? USAID, we're talking AIDS, we're talking gene therapy, polio, tuberculosis, nukes. Robert Malone goes on to work with the children of former Indian prime ministers. Robert Malone, by the way, the agent of India. Robert Malone only gave 2 people multi-hour, 4-hour interviews. Joe Rogan, Candace Owens. It is what it is. I guess I'm just going to have to keep doing a show every day and keep people on their toes about it. You can imagine one of those big sand clocks right next to me. The clock is ticking. The sand is going through, okay? Everything that I've just talked about here will be public knowledge and publicly spoken about either in a few weeks or a few months or several years. It's going to happen no matter what happens to me. It's just a matter of time right now. And the way that they are going to be kicking the can down the road is to not allow anyone to hear about India and to keep hyping up that Israel is full of baby-eating pedophile Nazis, which are enabled by neoconservatives and Republicans because of the Epstein files. That is how stupid, comical, immature everyone is right now. Oh, it's because of the Rothschilds. Some family that lived hundreds of years ago. Come on. Wake up. All right, that's it. Love you.